And now to a warning from the CDC. Stay out of the standing floodwaters. There are several reasons why, including but not limited to the risk of drowning, getting hurt by sharp debris, or down power lines, not to mention other dangerous items can be lurking like wildlife, human and animal waste, medical and industrial waste, pesticides, and so much more. Joining us now to talk more about this is emergency medical physician and medical director, Dr. Richina Bicette-McCain. Doctor, thank you for being here. So what issues do clinicians normally see in the aftermath of a hurricane when people are waiting in those standing floodwaters? We've been watching it for a couple of days now.
Well, after a hurricane, a lot of people are in fight or flight mode. So there are some who don't have an option and have to wade through floodwaters to get to safety. But if you can avoid standing floodwaters, please do, for a lot of the reasons that you may mention. These waters are murky. You can't see through it. And so you may not know what the waters contain, which is the scariest thing. There may be poisonous animals like the rattlesnake picture that we just showed, down power lines, which may still be active but are hidden by those murky waters. Sharp objects that can cause wounds. If you already have an open wound, those floodwaters can contain bacteria that may cause skin infections, animal waste, chemical waste, all kinds of things that can cause irritation and further illness.
So when you talk about the people, and I appreciate you mentioning this, like first responders who have to make their way through some of these floodwaters, what is your advice to them?
If you have to step into floodwaters, try if you can to wear high rubber boots, rubber gloves, goggles if you have them available. If that equipment isn't available and the floodwater gets on your clothes or on your skin, as soon as you get to safety or to a dry area, remove your saturated clothes, wash your skin with soap and water. If soap and water isn't available, get an alcohol-based hand sanitizer or hand wipe to clean the water off of your skin.
And does that go for all items that were saturated in these floodwaters and items that people may be using or may need?
Absolutely, especially for people with young children that may have toys that were contaminated by floodwaters. Please clean the toys because children put everything in their mouths and you don't want your child accidentally ingesting chemical or animal or even human waste.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much for your insight there. We'd like to get your take on another story. We've got some video to start it. Here we go.
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
So, Doctor, as you just saw, 81-year-old Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell appeared to freeze up again. It lasted for about 30 seconds, happened on Wednesday while he was talking to reporters in Kentucky. Late last month, the senator experienced a similar episode at the U.S. Capitol. So what do you believe medically happened to Senator McConnell? Why did he freeze like we saw?
I can't say for certain since I'm not involved in his medical care, but I will say the number one thing that I'm concerned about is that there is something neurological going on. It could potentially be a seizure because all seizures don't present with people falling on the ground and shaking, which is what we typically think of. It could be something like a mini stroke or what we in the medical field call a TIA. Or it could be something cardiac in nature, like a cardiac arrhythmia that's causing decreased blood flow to his brain. But whatever it is, this is now the second time in close proximity that we know of that this has happened. So I do hope he's undergoing proper medical care.
So, doctor, if he walked into your office right now, what would you check first and why? What would be the protocol in your view?
I'd absolutely get an EKG. I'd want to get a CT scan of his brain to see if I see any evidence of old strokes or old damage to the brain. I'd check some blood work to look at his electrolytes because electrolytes can affect the way that your heart beats and functions. And if all of those tests are negative or are clear, I do still think that he probably needs to see a specialist, if not a neurologist and or a cardiologist.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.